I really hadn't planned on making a video today, but we all know that the moisture spreads through sand over time, so if we let it sit overnight, the sand quality goes up, right? Well, a lot of us who are mixing sand by hand because our mullers aren't done or whatever, we're just getting started, spend a lot of time trying to integrate the water into the sand. And I've come up with just thinking here. I came up with that if I layer the sand, put some water on it, put another layer on, more water, and then cover it up and let it sit for an hour or two, that the moisture will spread. And apparently that works. I'll give you a little demonstration of that. One riddle, also known as a window screen, and a bucket of dry sand. These parts that don't break up, I'll throw them in a 5-gallon pail with some chunks of old brass plumbing fittings and tumble them in the cement mixer. Tumble the whole bucket in the cement mixer, packed in with foam so it don't slip around, so just tumble, and that'll break them down into sand particles again if they're dry. Now this isn't my main sand. This is a batch I'd made a while back before I settled on the stuff I have, and I brought it back out, play with it some more because it has a different feel to it. I've been trying to tell people that not all sand is created equal. This uses the same clay as mine, but it uses a different sand, and I'm not 100% sure if it was concrete sand or blow sand that I have in here, but it's got a significantly different feel to it when you put your hands in and mix it. And I want to do some testing to see if how it holds detail and stuff compared to my regular sand. And I must have abandoned this for some reason, but maybe I just wasn't up to speed yet. Okay, we got a pretty nice layer in here. I'm gonna wet her down. One of these days I gotta make me either bring a garden hose with a fine sprayer in here, or pressurize a vessel with a sprayer nozzle on it. Kind of wish I'd have put a layer of water down before I put the sand, first one down, but it'll do. Normally I wear a mask when I do this, dust particle mask, but I wouldn't be able to talk to you if I did that. If you're wondering, that's a bit of aluminum, and this white stuff may be, I don't know what it is. By the time the sand all gets contaminated, put some of it in a bucket that had been a paint bucket at one time, and the paint peeled off with the sand, and so I got paint flecks in some of it. Okay, more water. We're going to be doing about half of a 5-gallon pail, so 2.5 gallons of sand, minus the lumps, which amount to something, maybe 10%. Okay. I know the sand is deeper on this end, so I'm going to give it a little extra water. I tried this on the first half of this 5-gallon pail of dry sand, and I don't know how long I was in the house while it sat, but when I came out, I just ran my hands through it, and except for a couple of somewhat dry spots, it was pretty much mixed. I just scooped it up and put it in the bucket. Yeah, you gotta kind of know how much water to add to it, but if it's a little dry, you can always mix just a little bit more in before you shovel it out to the bucket for storage, aging, or whatever you want to call it. Stuff's always better than set a day or two. Even a few hours here seems to make a difference. Little chunk of aluminum. How do you suppose that got in there? Okay. See? Nice bed of sand. Generally, I use one of these, which says it holds probably a liter. It's 700 milliliters up to there. It probably holds about a liter. But one of these on a 5-gallon pail of sand is about right. As you can see, this one is about empty. Normally, if I were to go in there and mix it now, I'd end up with a bunch of little lumps, because I've overwetted it. But by the time we come back out after it's set, the moisture will no longer be concentrated in this layer, and we shouldn't see any lumps. In fact, that last batch I did that way was about as lump free as I've ever gotten mixing it by hand. Okay. Need now is a cover. We'll just throw that on, and maybe this one. Call that good enough. Be back in about 2 hours. Okay, it's time for the reveal. Now, we either got some nice sand here, or what we have is a waste of time. So let's see. Look at that. That's uniform. Let's do it again. In fact, let's do it this way. Let's do a cut across. Going handheld. You can see that sand is pretty much mixed. What about this over here? Yeah, we got a little bit of dry on the edge, but by and large, it's ready to go. Just pack that up and put it in the bucket. Boy, talk about just enough. Just a little update on my casting progress. I have been using a sprue like this, and you can see that's got a fairly good sized base on it, the button on the bottom. And I wanted to try an old Foundry Man style one, which is a little narrower. So I did a quick cast today, but I did a few things different. I made the sand, the facing sand, wetter. I actually sprayed it down a little bit in the bucket before I put it in, and I brought in an air compressor and I actually blew the mold out before I cast it. So I'm pretty pleased. I'll show you some pictures of the actual pattern, and this will show you where. I'll show you some pictures of the actual pattern and the resulting mold, and you can see just how close they came out. I'm pretty pumped. This is good. Okay, this is the pattern. Yeah, it worked better. This is the pattern. You can see the printing lines, layer lines, and it's kind of got a like a wave lapping effect. You can see there, you see them, divots right along here. There's little marks going all along there, but you know, you can quite clearly see it's 3D printed. Yeah, I have a little warping going on there, and I pinned it with nails. Kind of an experiment. Now take a look at the resulting sprue, and you see the very same. Now this right here lump, I don't know, I think that might have been where one of the nails came through, pulled a little sand with it when it came out. There's another the other pin, but see the dots across the top? This came out exactly. The layer lines are very evident. That's about as good a casting as I've ever made. I did one thing a little different. I had my spray bottle, and as I was taking the sand out of the bucket, I mixed a little water in, and so I made the facing sand a little moister than the other stuff. And I did give little spritz between layers, but because the sand had been sitting in those buckets a couple of days, but it looks great. I got no complaints. And see you next time.